if you did
See,
that, I might make a little jingle for it.
Jason, look at the chat on stream.
Tiny Shield says, "I, the people, demand this."
Exactly.
I, the people demand this.
Turns out there's a very high interest margin for people that want to see Travis Pastrana eating an onion. And hey, if we say Travis Pastrana eating an onion enough times, I would venture to guess it will probably reach his ears eventually. Not immediately, but at some point.
Him?
Just ask him to actually just eat.
Because he has over 10 million followers for some reason. What makes you think he's going to answer every single message?
If you want
that would get pretty tiring.
Yeah, it would. It would. But he wouldn't have time to, idiotically drive cars in circles around other cars.
Well, that's why you need to track him.
I'm not some stalker.
It's not stalking. That's just asking him for a picture.
Oh, it's stalking if they're not a celebrity, and it's just being a good fan if they're a celebrity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I mean, look at it that way. If you're following a coworker home from the Applebee's every night just to watch her walk inside, it's stalking. If you do the same to a celebrity, it's just admiration.
Interesting. What if you do it to
Tell
Steven
me I'm
Seagal?
wrong.
What if you do it to like Steven Seagal, for example?
Then it's harassment, according to him, and only him.
He's not big enough. He's not big enough to.
He needs a safe space.
Well, he's pretty big right now. I mean, Jesus.
Steven Seagal?
Yeah, dude, put on weight.
I looked at some of his new stuff.
Oh, you're saying he is big? Okay.
Physically. And then his movies are just a money laundering. But
do you ever see any of his martial arts videos?
Yes.
When he'll sit there, he'll speak in his weirdly whispery voice that he's okay. So I learned this in China. It's karate. I've noticed he always puts a little too much emphasis on exotic pronunciation. But then he'll just slowly do a thing first, and then he'll do it at like full speed and full power on his student.
I'm going to have to find this. Here we go. Yep, I got this.
Dude, it's
I
hilarious.
got this.
I find it funny that... Nice.
Yeah. Let's check this out. This out.
That's it.
Destroy student at 70 years old.
Throw him. Yeah. If he doesn't go, I snap his arm off. This because I train it every
crack
day.
In the mouth.
Yeah. This, is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can imagine if I did that in your throat.
Yeah.
Oh! You didn't need to imagine it. Fucking doing
You will
it.
sever the brainstem. You will sever the brainstem.
Please don't.
That's what happens. One of my masters once said, 武芸というものは雷みたいなもんということは天と地の混ざり。
The guy's just looking at
He's like, okay. All right.
The fuck is this dude saying?
I called that in my head when he's like, one of my masters once said, and I knew he was going to go off into another language. I just knew he was
Nobody in the room speaks Japanese, but he's like, I have to say it exactly.
Or he says it in like a really racist way.
He's one of those anime purists that has to have...
Now.
It's subs, not dubs for him. If it's in its original Japanese, it has so much more meaning.
I can't even now.
That's right. Where I came from, if you did that, somebody will come and kill you the next day.
Yeah.
They'll come to your dojo or your house and say, it's on right now. Yeah. One of us is going to live and one of us is going to die. Yeah. Or one of us is going to be unconscious and maybe he'll live and maybe he won't. I don't care.
Yeah.
Not in America.
So you're telling me you kill people?
Not in America, he says. It's like, have you ever been to Chirac? You ever been to Chirac, Steve? I want to see Steven Seagal just go to Chirac.
The land of the mouth.
Yep. If you want to show mercy, you do that.
Yeah. Mercy is for after they're sleeping.
Okay.
from here.
No.
Okay, Cobra Kai.
Look at that look of discomfort on that kid's face. Just,
He's just
don't
grabbing
kill
this
me.
kid's neck over and over again. He's like,
I have you here,
Yeah.
here, here.
Yeah.
You can feel
Yeah.
what
yep,
happened.
yep.
God damn.
I feel like that kid he just threw on the ground probably did not consent to that.
There's this really funny one where he throws this guy, reporter, into water. This is pretty funny.
Oh no.
Oh
No,
no!
this is great. It's not.
You didn't type Steven Seagal.
Yeah, you
That's true.
throws reporter in water.
Here we
You
go.
gotta
Here
be
we go.
specific, Jason.
Right here. Here. This is actually pretty funny.
Oh dear.
Hello, Mr. Seagal.
Is that dude not wearing pants?
I'm a big fan of
Oh,
yours.
okay.
Very nice to meet you.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
You
huge.
can barely even hear that. Is there like a better,
I don't think.
is there
So,
a better version of this?
have you noticed in most Steven Seagal movies, by the way, his voice is dubbed over by people that aren't Steven Seagal?
I have
What?
not noticed that.
Supposedly, he has a hard time speaking loud enough to be picked up by the cameras properly, so they dub over him.
Wow.
Huh.
And
Let's-
it's not, in a lot of times, it's not even his own voice.
I think this is the best we can do here. So let's.
Staying in the hotel as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, huge fan of your work. I'm an actor myself.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm-
Action actor?
Some action.
Martial arts?
No, not really. More sort of sitcoms and things like that. But this is my dad. Daddy, I'm doing a show with
Wait, this is
Got it.
staged. This is staged.
Do you
It's
still
not.
call him Daddy?
Daddy?
That's Jack Whitehall. That's a
yeah.
comedian.
Daddy, this is Steven Seagal.
I mean, he did say he was an actor or comedian.
Yes, we're traveling around.
I could believe that Steven Seagal would know who the fuck this guy is.
Travelogue. Have you been
Probably.
to Cambodia?
Yeah.
He's hilarious, by the way.
Is it nice?
At this point, Steven Seagal might not even barely even knows who the fuck he
Cambodia,
is.
you know, it's a beautiful,
Probably not.
beautiful country, but at the same time, there's a lot of lawlessness and mafia and different things like that. So just be careful.
Are there any martial arts moves that you could teach me that would be useful for me to know if I got into any trouble? Is there any martial arts that I could do?
Do you know how to
Can
swim?
run fast?
Yeah, very quick. Very fast.
Let's just leave it at that then.
May I ask one more question as well?
Yeah, sure.
I know that you're a Zen master. What is the essence of Zen?
It almost doesn't even look like Steven Seagal. It looks like some dude wearing a Steven Seagal mask.
Is he just gone?
Like, where's the ponytail?
For it.
Got it.
So he just threw him into the pond.
Yeah, he did.
That was not rehearsed. He's a crazy guy.
No. Look on the sidebar there. Jack Whitehall on meeting Steven Seagal. Fourth one down.
Okay.
Yeah.
The weirdest moment.
Why
of
is
the
it so
trip
quiet?
was probably this scene
I
with
don't know.
Steven Seagal, which happens in episode 3. We're in Bangkok. I'm in the hotel.
One's
I
a
walk
problem,
down,
two's a coincidence,
past
three's a
the
pattern.
restaurant, and I see Steven Seagal having breakfast. I was like, "That's
Audio level's fine for me.
and I believe he's eating breakfast in
Yeah,
a
it looks
hotel.
fine for me.
I've got to go over and say something. So I went over and I was like, "Oh, can I get a selfie?" And his manager was English, and he was like, "Oh, this is Jack Whitehall. He's a comedian in the UK, Stephen." And Stephen was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm filming this travel log." He was like, "Would you like me to be in it?" And I was like,
He's a busy
yes.
man.
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. And he was like, "Okay, I've got an idea. This will be really funny. I'm going to walk out of the hotel, and you come up to me and you ask me this question, and then just ask me this." And he asked me this thing about, like, I needed to ask him what the essence of Zen was. So I was like, okay, and I went and told the producers, like, can you just
So
go
what's
outside and
staged?
film? Because I think
I called
Steven
it, man.
Seagal is about to come and do a joke on camera. So he walked out, and I went, hello, Steven Seagal, I'm a fan of yours. What is the essence of Zen? And he threw me in a fountain. Because the essence of Zen is to submerge yourself in it. Now, yeah, hilarious. he didn't tell me that he was going to do that. He just threw me in a pond and then just walked off and got into his car and drove off without signing a release form or explaining what any of it meant. It was so surreal, and we all stood around.
Him
like,
being
what
thrown in the water
hell
was
just
not
happened?
staged, but everything else was.
I just got judo chopped by Casey Ryback into a fountain.
Sense.
And so then eventually they found him and managed to get him to sign the release form. So that element of it is in the show. And then, like, his manager was like, on the last day that we were there, he was like, do you want to have lunch with Steven Seagal? So I was like,
Oh my God.
I've got to kind of see how this one ends, I guess. Like, yes.
Did you bring your dad?
I brought my dad. So me and my dad had lunch with Steven Seagal in this hotel in Bangkok. And it was exactly as weird as you would imagine me, my dad, and Steven Seagal having lunch would be.
How did your dad and Steven Seagal get along? Because
apparently they have a mutual love of Winston Churchill. So they were talking about Winston Churchill, and he was like, Steven Seagal was like, oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of Winston Churchill, and my dad was like, I have a huge collection of Winston Churchill books, and they're like, and then they were talking, it was going really well, and Steven Seagal was like, I'm also a huge fan of Vladimir Putin, and my dad was like, I am not a fan of Vladimir Putin. I have no books on Vladimir Putin.
So that's why. That explains that video.
I thought it was quite surreal. It was all a bit of a blur, and I couldn't remember everything that happened, but there was a moment at the end where I looked over at Steven Seagal explaining to my dad how you could kill an attacker with a samurai sword if he runs at you, and I thought, I think my dad and Steven Seagal lead quite different lives. I don't know whether that is a transferable skill for Michael Whitehall as he's going around Putney getting attacked by like ninjas.
Crazy. Well, we went on a little bit of a side trek there, but
we did, and
that would explain. Okay, why said that explains it? Because there's this video that got released. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe further back. But there's this YouTube channel called Bad History, and they make this really good like animated videos. Like I thought for like, because I remember I was watching it somewhere, and I seriously thought that this was made by like a professional studio, but it was actually a YouTuber that made this. And what happened, and it was called Putin, and the video was about Putin and basically how badass he was. And then in certain like scenes, there's freaking Steven Seagal just doing karate like in the background. So I was just like, why is Steven Seagal in with Vladimir Putin? What's the deal with that? So that's why. Okay, now I'm seeing the connection here. Okay.
Yeah.
But why is he a fan of Putin of all people?
Because Putin's a black belt in Kyokushin karate. I mean that. It's actually true.
Interesting.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. He's a martial artist.
Yeah. And Jason, I know you mentioned that we were going off on a bit of a tangent. I gotta say, the tangent cannot be over yet because, well, the people demanded something and good old Schloobs delivered. It's in Messenger right now. Along with a little something extra.
It's pretty cursed.
It's extremely cursed. What are you talking about?
It's so cursed.
What in the world? What's going on? What is going on here?
He's got a little bit of. I don't think it knows who Travis Pastrana is.
Well, the first one, it certainly looks like it.
That's apparently him eating an onion.
It would
It
appear
looks like
so.
he's got onion on his lip.
Yeah.
I think it's a different kind of onion than the one that's in his hand. But
And what's that on his hat?
for some reason, the AI generation tools like are weird about doing text.
That makes a lot of sense. It
looks
really
like
does.
he has an extra row of teeth too.
Yeah, kinda like a shark.
I was about to say that is some big teeth he has.
Yeah, he looking like Cristiano Ronaldo.
And look at
over
his
here.
fingers.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
it's bad at hand too.
He's officially a Dark Souls boss.
Something's going weird. Something's odd with his eyes too. Like look at his